the lowest of all the provinces in Canada when it comes to transferring funds for helping all these immigrants learn English, get their credentials recognized, get jobs, and do all those things. We were at $825, we're at $1,600 by the end of some 3-year implementation. But the thing that's more upsetting is Peel in the 905 belt gets less money than the 416 area gets for that same sort of integration. And we all just sit here and go, okay, that's fine. The immigration tracking from Quebec to the region of Peel, it doesn't mean it's taken them like 3 years to decide to move here. Sometimes it's hours. And the stats you were giving were 2001. They have since developed a cottage industry in Quebec where they set up immigration offices all over the French-speaking countries like Belgium. And they process people. They send them to Quebec, they land, they spend 3 hours there, they pick up $16,000 for a family of 4, and then they come to Peel. And then we've got to cope with all this. And it's not the immigrants' fault. The federal government has to be brought to task on this. I tried for the year I was an independent and got a little bit of distance out of it because they made a new agreement with Ontario to give us a little bit more than $825 a person. But I think in the region of Peel we're getting even less than that. And I can remember a couple of years ago, a lot of years ago, 10 years ago, there was a pilot project with Peel saying people who sponsor immigrants have to go to the bank, put their house on mortgage, and say if those immigrants go on welfare, we are going to lose our house. Well, first of all, they never foreclosed on a single house. Secondly, they're saying the sponsors are at fault, when in actual fact the federal government's at fault for not funding Peel sufficiently to help make those people successful. And I find language and interpretive services, I don't think we should be increasing it because the point system is based on the ability to speak one of the 2 official languages. You get a lot of points for that. And you saw there were 43% with university degrees. These people are not being recognized because the professions, chartered accountants, doctors, dentists, veterinarians, have such a closed shop and they're regulated by the province. So the province should be hammered into. We are falsely advertising in this country. Get these points, you will be successful in the land of milk and honey. And then you get here, first of all, we're not given enough money here in Peel to take care of them or integrate them. The professions are not being forced by the province to recognize those credentials. And Jean Augustine was just appointed as head of something, and they're going to have a little office with 12 people running around checking in credentials. This is absolutely the hugest scam on the face of the earth. And we used to get little letters from Peel all the time saying, you owe us X number of dollars of welfare. I don't know if you still send those out. But it used to irritate the heck out of me because it was so frustrating because nobody cares up there. And then nobody cares in the province either. But the people that are suffering are the immigrants. And I know a lady who has a science degree, top-notch science degree in Pakistan, is working in a cardboard box factory here. And she's been there 10 years. And I said to her, why the heck don't you go back to Pakistan? Because your family's very wealthy. She said, because my kids can go to school with somebody with a gun driving them there so they don't get kidnapped. So that my kids have the freedom to practice their religion. So my kids can go on and be whatever they want to be. So Canada's a wonderful country. And I'll keep working in a cardboard box factory. So, I mean, I know I rant about this stuff all the time. But this is something we've got to start taking seriously. We've got to let these guys off the hook. I was in a Liberal caucus for 13 years where we said, let's do what we do with students in the summer. Let's give employers half the person's wages, or at least excuse them from all the payroll taxes you have to pay. If they'll take an immigrant and let them work in a plant for a year, we'll subsidize that so they get Canadian experience. Nobody cares. Because all the immigrants vote for the Liberals anyway. Nobody up there cares until there's an election. And down here, where this level is, where we actually see these people eyeball to eyeball every day and watch their suffering, and we're trying to help them, you're trying to help them, we don't have the money to do it because nobody cares. So I think it's time. Every election that comes along, we've got to get organized. That committee that we threw together, I checked with Niagara has one, setting up a provincial social services downloading subcommittee. Hamilton has one, Brantford has one, Halton has one. And as soon as this budget comes down today, we'll activate ours. And we'll meet with these other people. And we're going to start making a lot of noise. And if the feds call an election, we're going to do it with them. You have more weight with the people because you're directly in contact with them all the time. That other end, they don't care. Because you're not making any noise, we're not making any noise. And the poor immigrants are just happy to survive day to day. They don't get organized and come and delegate us. I can remember when I was on the school board, French immersion parents, top educated, top wealthy people, great jobs. They can hammer the school boards into doing unreasonable things. But not the immigrants. They're just damn happy to have food on the table and a roof over their heads. So we can't penalize them, and we've got to start fighting for them because they're 50% of our population.
Okay, I think that if you want that number in the 905, I think we're $213 short on every per capita that's within the 905 area. Councillor Prentice.
Thank you very much. Well said, Carolyn.